What's good, people? I'm back, and today I'll be talking about my picks and predictions for UFC Fight Night Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. Now I'm gonna make this quick. I don't have much time today, and frankly, I don't care about this card anyways. The main fight I'll actually break down is probably gonna be Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. Other than that, I really am just picking whoever I want, whoever I feel like the last card, and that ended horribly. I didn't post a reaction video or whatever because I just didn't want to look at that card again. And I'll just tell you guys, my last card I went not good, not good. I went, hold on, I got 4 picks correct, yeah, out of 12. So I went 4 and 8. Well, 4, 7 and 1. One was a draw. So anyways, let's just start with the picks for this card. Let's just get straight into it. I don't want to talk much. The card is decent. I don't have much to say about the card. Once again, Apex drop. There's how many ranked fights? Hold on. I think Myra Bueno Silva, she's ranked. I don't think she's ranked. Montel Jackson's ranked. Norma Dumont's ranked, and it's like 3 ranked fights. Montel Jackson, I don't know what he's even doing in the rankings. He'll probably be out soon as well. So yeah, there's like 3 ranked fights here. So let's just get straight into it. With the first fight, we have the Talita Alencar versus Julia Polastri. I'm gonna go with Julia Polastri on this one. For the sole reason of she's the favorite. She's a moderate favorite, and also Talita Alencar, she has some decent wins. She's 35. She's a bit old, but it doesn't really matter in the women's division. I'm fumbling very hard here, dude. But she is sort of one-dimensional. She comes from a grappling background, so her striking isn't really that good. And she did lose to Stephanie Luciano and did go to a draw with her. But I think that's more so of a thing that she just stylistically doesn't match up well. But also she has less fights in MMA as compared to Julia Polastri. She does have more losses, but how many? 2 of them are very old. One was on Contender Series to Jasuda Vicious. One was to Lupita Godinez. So those aren't bad losses. Josephine Knudsen, that one, but she was 7-0 at that time. She's still kind of decent, so I'll be picking her. She did go to a split decision with Corey McKenna, but also Talita Alencar also went to a split decision with, who did she? Ryan Dos Santos, who I don't even know who that is. So that should sum it up. Why I'm picking Julia Polastri. And Julia Polastri is more well-rounded. She just knocked out Karolina Kowalkiewicz, who is 9 and 10 in the UFC. She's on the downfall, to say the least. She was never that good. She's decent, but she's not that good. But she finished her. And if you're finishing fights by knockout in the women's division, I am gonna pick you. And she also has some submissions on her record, and her losses aren't that bad. So I'm gonna pick Julia Polastri by decision. I don't think I've ever picked a female fighter to win by finish, but I don't know, man. That might have to change soon. But yeah, next fight on the card, we have Max Griffin. Oh my days, Max Griffin, dude. Max Griffin, man. Yeah, dude. 20 and 12, Max Griffin is on the card, fighting the country of Venezuela, I guess. Oh, he's fighting Victor Valenzuela, not the country of Venezuela. Sorry. Max Griffin versus the whole country of Venezuela. Great. I wonder who will win that one. But yeah, Max Griffin isn't gonna win this one either. I think Victor Valenzuela, his 3 losses are pretty early. One of them is to Thomas Powell. I think I've heard of him, and that was also an illegal move, if I'm not wrong. And he has a loss on Contender Series to Michael Oliveira. Dude, You look at Michael Oliveira. This guy has this guy nearly has 100% finish rate. Like he has he has one win by decision and other 8 wins are by knockout. And he's just one of the better prospects. And I think there's no shame in losing to Michael Oliveira. So I think he will beat Max Griffin. I don't know if he'll finish him though. That's a hard one to see. Like I don't know, man. Hold on. Let me think about this a bit. Has Max Griffin been finished? Is he like one of those unks that get finished, or holy shit, he's getting finished? Now let me see. Does Valenzuela knock people out or does he submit them? So he TKOs people. So I'm picking Victor Valenzuela, or the country of Venezuela, to TKO Max Griffin in the second round. Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. This is gonna be a banger. Not a banger, probably gonna end in a finish. Probably by Francis Marshall. We have Francis Marshall versus Lucas Brennan. Lucas Brennan, I think he's making his debut. I think he's making his UFC debut. Holy shit, dude. Francis Marshall is like a minus 600 favorite. Holy shit. I think Francis Marshall got this one in the bag. I am picking Francis Marshall by round 1 submission. I think he'll get it in round 1. Now he has 3 losses on his record. One of them is to Isaac Bulgarian, who's decent. He just got lost to an unk, which I saw coming, but I was like, yeah, whatever. He lost to William Gomez by split decision. William Gomez is also a decent unranked prospect, so there's not much shame in that, and that was pretty early on in his career. And other than that, he doesn't have any losses, except for the Myron Santos fight, which he lost in quotation marks by split decision again. And he does have a split decision over Dennis Bazooka. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'm just gonna call him Dennis Bazooka from now on. But he did also submit Eric Silva with ease, and I think it's gonna happen again. He's gonna get an easy rear naked choke, maybe even something like, I don't know. This guy, Lucas Brennan, he lost in the PFL and he lost in Fury FC, which is not a good sign. He competed in Bellator for a while, but how do you lose in PFL? I think Francis Marshall will probably get a round 1 submission. I just don't rate the guys Lucas Brennan has beat that highly. And Myron Santos is a decent prospect. And Francis Marshall beat him. Yeah, it was a robbery and whatnot, but I think Francis Marshall should submit Lucas Brennan in the first round. Now we have Filho versus Cody Durden. I'm picking Filho by round 2 submission. I don't know if I should pick him by submission though. I'm picking Cody Durden by round 3 submission. I think Cody Durden will make it pretty competitive in rounds 1 and 2. Will still lose those rounds probably. This fight would have been much closer because Cody Durden has good grappling. He's more of a wrestler than a jiu-jitsu guy, which I think that's horrible when you're going against a jiu-jitsu guy, especially somebody who has decent striking. And Cody Durden doesn't have decent striking. Neither does Filho. And if Cody Durden has the better wrestling, but Filho has the better jiu-jitsu. So Filho should win this fight. But it's not just that, the quality of their wins, dude. Cody Durden, he's old. He's getting up there. He's on like a losing streak. He just lost to Nyamjadgal Tumben. And, Filho's losses are to Alan Nascimento, who's himself pretty decent. He just got like a crazy finish in his last fight, if I'm not wrong. And Mohamed Mokaev, both of them being grapplers. So I think you have to be a good grappler to beat him, which I'm not saying Cody Durden isn't a good grappler, but Filho did also beat Ode Osborne, who is a decent grappler, and I would put him at the same level as Cody Durden, if not better. And he does have better striking than Cody Durden as well. And Cody Durden is also taking this fight on short notice. So it's just, I just can't pick you, man. And Filho is like a 350 favorite. And I'm picking Filho by round 3 submission. I think Cody Durden will survive the early onslaught, but as the rounds go by, he will sink into like a submission. Maybe even get submitted from the bottom. Like Filho is on the bottom, maybe get submitted from there. I could see anything happening. Filho could submit him any way he wants. Cody Durden, he's more like in his fight with Namjargal Tumben, the Mongolian guy whose name I can't pronounce properly. My stutter, man. I really need to work on my stutter. How many times? Ah, shit. Anyway, in that fight, they were just pretty much flow rolling the entire fight, and he still lost. So, pretty clearly as well. So, I think Filho should get this one done. I think Filho is a better fighter than Namjargal, than whoever he fought in his last fight. So, I think instead of getting a step down in competition, he's getting a step up, which is horrible, and I think he's gonna get submitted in the 3rd round. Next fight on the card, we have Mayra Bueno Silva versus Michelle Montague. I'm picking Michelle Montague, dude. There is no way Mayra Bueno Silva wins this. Mayra Bueno Silva, if you guys don't know, she fluked her way into a title fight. She's a fraud pretty much. She does have one win over Jillian Robertson by armbar, but if that fight happened today, she would get submitted like in round 1 easily. Not even a question. Other than that, she fluked her way into like a title fight, if I'm not wrong. After losing to Manon Fiorot, and she lost to Manon Fiorot, she beat some 3 random no-names, and she beat Holly Holm, and then it got overturned into a no contest because she couldn't pass a drug test. Then she fluked her way into a title fight with Raquel Pennington. And after that, she's been on like a downfall. And she lost to Macy Chiasson, she lost to Jasmine Jasudavicius, which are fine, which I wouldn't be as confident in picking her to lose if it wasn't her recent loss, which is to Jacqueline Cavalcanti. What the fuck is up with that name? Who is decent, but she's a decision machine, dude. She can't get finishes on the regional scene. She has a couple split decisions in the UFC. So it's sort of like she isn't that good. And Michelle Montague is the complete opposite. She's a finisher on the regional scene. Her fight did go to a decision, her last fight, but I think she's gonna submit Mayra Bueno Silva in the 2nd round. We're probably gonna see a lot more submissions this card, but because there's so many grapplers in this card, like Frances Marshall, Talita Alencar, Cody Durden, Filho, Michelle Montague, Cedric Dumas, Jackson McVey. These are well-rounded fighters, but they do resort to grappling often. Rodolfo Vieira, Marcus Buchecha, even Davy Grant, a little bit. He's more, no, not Davy Grant. I'm an idiot. Norma Dumont, Jocelyn Edwards is a decent grappler. The main event. So we're gonna see a lot of submissions this card, and I think Michelle Montague will submit Mayra Bueno Silva in the 2nd round. And it's probably gonna be one-way traffic. It's probably gonna be Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby. So let's just move on to the next fight, which is Cedricus Dumbass versus Jackson McVey. Now Jackson McVey, he's decent. He's 6-2. His losses aren't that bad. He got submitted by Bruno Ferreira. He got submitted by Zachary Reese. Other than that, he has wins in the regional scene. He has a good front headlock game, but I just don't think it's gonna be enough to beat Cedricus Dumbass. Cedric Dumas is on a losing streak. He lost to Dante Johnson pretty badly. He did get knocked out by Mikhail Olajechek. He did get knocked out by Nursultan Ruziboyev, but he did beat Abu Azaitar, Prodi Bandage, and Denis Tuilulin. But he did also get guillotined by Josh Fremd, which is concerning. And he has like 2 losses in the UFC by like guillotines, which is concerning against a guy like Jackson McVey. But I don't think Jackson McVey is that good. And the main reason I'm picking Cedricus Dumas is because till now I've only picked fighters who are favored to win. But it's like, you can't convince me otherwise that the guy that is the underdog is going to win. But this fight is actually close. And I think Cedricus Dumas should get this one by decision. This is the first underdog pick of this card. I'm being a bit risky this card. But it is what it is. Next fight on the card, we have Rodolfo Vieira versus Eric McCanic. Eric McConico. Yeah, dude, Eric McConico. I don't think he got this. Rodolfo Vieira, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He has a jiu-jitsu background. He doesn't know how to make it work because he can't implement his takedowns. But, and he did also get submitted by Anthony Hernandez, which no shame in that. You're getting submitted by Anthony Hernandez, but Eric McConico is nowhere near the level of Anthony Hernandez. He did get head kick knocked out pretty badly by Bo Nickel, but he beat Tresean Gore, and Tresean Gore just went out there, put a performance on Azamat Bekwev, which has really aged well. He also beat Arman Petrosyan, which isn't really aging well. He also beat Cody Brundage, which isn't really aging well. He did lose to Chris Curtis, which isn't aging well. He beat Dustin Stoltzfus, which isn't aging well. He lost to Anthony Hernandez, which is aged well, I guess. He did beat some random guy, which probably hasn't aged well. But, I just think the reason he lost to Bo Nickel was he wasn't able to implement his jiu-jitsu because Bo Nickel is such a good wrestler. I don't think Eric McConico is nearly as good of a wrestler as Bo Nickel is. Bo Nickel was consistently taking down RDR, which, to be honest, RDR isn't a good wrestler by any means. But he's definitely way better than Eric McConico. And he did get slept pretty badly in his last fight as well by Sangur Susurkaev. And he went to a split decision with Cody Brundage, sorry. So, I just don't think Eric McConico has it. They're both unks. Rodolfo is 36, Eric McCanic is 35. I think it's time for Eric McConico to put the fries in the bag. I think Rodolfo Vieira is gonna submit Eric McConico in the first round. I'm gonna say round 1, yeah. Next fight on the card, we have Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. This is another fight where I'm gonna pick the underdog. I'm gonna pick Ryan Spann. Now, I do understand that this fight is on short notice because Jimenez pulled out. But I think Ryan Spann should get this one done. I can't pick a guy who doesn't have a single win in the UFC. Yeah, he lost to Martin Buday. Martin Buday is actually pretty decent. But he also did get slept pretty badly after he got cut from the UFC in Octagon, which that's a bad look. So that loss hasn't aged well. He went to a draw with Kennedy and Jessica, who I don't rate highly as well. He has decent wins, but you're going to draw with this guy, dude. And I think Ryan Spann should keep it standing. Marcus Buchecha is also going to suffer from the same problem that Rodolfo Vieira suffers with. He just won't be able to implement his jiu-jitsu because he doesn't have good enough wrestling. And I think Ryan Spann will be able to keep the fight on the feet. And I think he should cruise to a heavyweight blob decision. So I'm picking Ryan Spann by decision. That's my prediction for how this fight will go. Next fight on the card, I'm pretty excited for this one. Montel Jackson versus Raoni Barcelos. Once again, I'll be picking the slight underdog in this one. I'm picking Raoni Barcelos by, I think, decision. I don't think Raoni Barcelos is going to finish Montel Jackson or anything. But that win over Peyton Talbot alone should tell you everything. The win over Ricky Simon hasn't aged that well. But that fight was decent as well, He didn't look completely washed in that fight. And Ricky Simon, he recently lost to... he went to a draw with Adrian Yanez. So, it's not aging that badly. He did lose to Kyler Phillips and Victor Henry, which is what's the fucking word? My English is glitching out. My English isn't my first language, so which is concerning. That's the word. And he had a lot of losses early on in his UFC career. He had a lot of wins as well, but then he also went on a losing streak. But I think he's back, and I think he's pretty much the same thing as Figueiredo. If not, Figueiredo's kind of washed as well. We saw Figueiredo looked kind of terrible against Umar. So, if I picked Davison Figueiredo to beat Montel Jackson, I don't understand why I wouldn't pick Raoni Barcelos to beat Montel Jackson. I don't understand why Raoni Barcelos can't do everything that Figueiredo did to beat Montel Jackson. Yeah, that fight was a split decision. Probably shouldn't have been a split decision. And I think Raoni Barcelos, dude, He's old, but I think he should get this done by decision. Next fight on the card, we have Davy Grant versus Adrian Luna Martinez. I really want to pick Luna Martinez, but I'll be picking Davy Grant because Luna Martinez didn't even beat Mark Wologden. Mark Wologden, he's decent, but he went to a very close fight with Mark Wologden. You could maybe say that was a robbery. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it, but Mark Wologden just went to a majority draw with John Castaneda. John Castaneda is not that good, so, and his wins or the wins, like let's just go over Adrian Luna Martinez. What is this guy's name? Martinetti. Let's just go over this guy's wins real quick. Mark Wologden, very close fight. Jesus Flores. Jesus. The guy's beating Jesus by injury. 0-0. Great. Gio 8-3 guy. 13-10-1. 12-4, 25-10, 3-4, 9-12, 2-3, 0-1, 6-2. Okay, that's decent. 2-3, 6-6, 1-0, 1-5. He lost to a 3-0 guy, beat a 1-0 guy, beat a 0-0 guy. So he's not really beating that good people who are that good. But I'll say one thing: he is getting a lot of finishes, which is good considering the competition he's facing. But he does have a couple of decisions in there as well. He has most of his wins by decision. And I think Davy Grant, man, he's just gonna cruise to a decision. I think he should. He lost to Charles Jourdain, which is whatever, but this guy beat Daniel Marcos. That fight was a robbery. He beat Ramon Tavares, who's decent. He beat Damon Blackshear, who's also, I guess, decent, but he also beat Rafael Assunção, Lucas Smolka. He went to a split decision with Adrian Yanez, which is kind of aging well now, not before. He lost to Marlon Vera, which is whatever. That was, if I'm not wrong, fight of the night. That was fight of the night, if I'm not wrong. He slept Jonathan Martinez, which is, I guess, a decent win. But he does have a couple of losses as well. And he also did beat Chito Vera before in 2016. So I think Unk still got it. I think we're going to see Davy Grant split decision win here. Yeah, I'm picking Davy Grant by split decision. I don't even think it's going to be UD. I think it's going to be a close split decision where Adrian Luna Martinez probably gets outboxed on the feet, lands a couple of good shots here and there, but mostly tries to wrestle, and probably going to be a split decision win for Davy Grant if I had to predict. Next fight on the card, we have Anthony Hernandez versus Rafa Garcia. Now I'll tell you what, this fight is not even close at all. I'm picking Anthony Hernandez by, I don't know, man. I'm picking Anthony Hernandez by round 1 knockout. He should knock out Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia, this guy beat Jared Gordon. Yeah, you beat Jared Gordon. Yeah, you knocked out Jared. This guy got knocked out by Grant Dawson. Jared Gordon is nowhere near the level of Anthony Hernandez. He lost to Drakkar Klose. Drakkar Klose is not that close to Anthony Hernandez, in terms of skill level. I just think the run Anthony Hernandez is on right now, I think he's gonna sleep Rafa Garcia badly in the first round. I don't know why they're giving him this fight. He should be fighting somebody in the rankings, but I think after this fight, they should give him somebody ranked. Like they're pushing the new generation of lightweights right now, like Manuel Torres. They're giving Cullen Salkin a ranked fight. They gave Chris Duncan a ranked fight. So I think Anthony Hernandez should get a ranked fight after this one if he wins this as well. And I'm picking Anthony Hernandez by round 1 TKO. Now this fight, I'm really split here. I'm picking Jocelyn Edwards by decision. Now I really wanted to pick Norma Dumont, and I was originally gonna pick Norma Dumont, but my reasoning to not pick her was she was getting taken down a lot in her fights. She definitely has the grappling advantage, but she hasn't been able to get takedowns. But she hasn't been able to defend takedowns. And on the feet, I think we can all agree she's probably worse than Jocelyn Edwards. So I just don't think she'll be able to implement her grappling that effectively. And I think on the feet it's gonna be like a 29-28 women's MMA decision by Jocelyn Edwards. And I don't think I can break that fight down much more than this. And I'll just move on to the main event. Now this is I'm even more split on, and I don't know how Yusuf Zalal's a fucking favorite now somehow. Because last time I checked, Aljamain Sterling was the favorite to win, and I flipped a coin. I said if it lands on heads, I'll pick Yusuf Zalal. If it lands on tails, I'm gonna pick Aljamain Sterling. The coin landed on tails, but I'm picking Yusuf Zalal because I don't care. I've picked enough underdogs on this card. If Yusuf Zalal is a favorite, I'm picking Yusuf Zalal. And also, if you guys didn't know, I'm a Yusuf Zalal fan, and I want him to win. This is definitely a very tough fight for him. Aljamain Sterling, the way for Aljamain Sterling to win this is to implement his grappling. And I think it's probably going to be a very, very close fight. Probably going to be a 48-47 decision for Yusuf Zalal, if I had to guess. Because Aljamain Sterling will make it very close. He will get takedowns, but that's not the... He just won't be able to hold positions against a guy like Yusuf Zalal. You know, Yusuf Zalal, people forget, man, he gave a tough fight to Ilia Topuria. And I think we can all agree Yusuf Zalal is better on the feet than Aljamain Sterling. He isn't this crazy knockout artist or whatever, but he also has a crazy speed advantage as well. And he's like 5'10", and Aljamain Sterling is like 5'7". So he should be able... I think the way for Yusuf Zalal to win this is the way he fought Calvin Kattar. To fight like he fought Calvin Kattar. But Aljamain Sterling could also constantly be in his face. But I don't think Aljamain Sterling's defense is going to hold up that much. And I think Yusuf Zalal is going to beat Aljamain Sterling because I watched Aljamain Sterling versus Brian Ortega, the first 2 rounds. And the exact same thing happened for the later 3 rounds as well, so I didn't even consider watching it. Aljamain Sterling really winds up when he throws, and it's really easy to see his shots coming. And the way Yusuf Zalal fights, I saw his fight against Calvin Kattar, he really uses his head movement and footwork. Now that may lead to openings for takedowns, but I think he'll be smart enough to not open his hips that much, and it's probably gonna be... And even if he does get taken down, I think he's good enough off of his back or off of that positions that he can get back up to his feet. And I think that's why it's gonna be like probably a very close decision for Yusuf Zalal, where he just outpoints Aljamain Sterling. Now Aljamain Sterling, this is Yusuf Zalal's fight to lose. I don't know why he's the favorite. Aljamain Sterling should be the favorite, but I'm gonna pick Yusuf Zalal because I love my boy Yusuf Zalal and I want him to win this fight, which is exactly why I shouldn't pick him, because every single fighter I like, whenever I pick them to win, they lose. But I have a feeling that Yusuf Zalal is gonna go out there and win this weekend if I pick him. And the way to beat if Aljamain Sterling wants to beat Yusuf Zalal, he needs to implement his wrestling very much. But I don't think he realizes that. I don't think he's gonna go out there and grapple heavily with Yusuf Zalal. I think he's gonna get outpointed the first round, where he thinks his striking is whatever. And then later on, like near the ending of the first round, he tries to implement his grappling, maybe even secures a takedown. But if he tries to fight what Calvin Kattar did very well in round 3 against Yusuf Zalal, is he pressured the shit out of him. But the problem with that is Aljamain Sterling doesn't have a good granite chin like Calvin Kattar does. Also, Yusuf Zalal doesn't have that much power, so he's probably not gonna sleep him. But he definitely has more power than somebody like Brian Ortega, and he's definitely a better striker than Brian Ortega. And I think he should be able to land a straight down the middle that will probably gain some respect from Aljamain Sterling to stop him from straight up just diving into range and just stepping into range no matter what. And like Aljamain Sterling's defense is just not that good, and I think he's probably gonna get caught if he tries to pressure the shit out of Yusuf Zalal. But if he doesn't try to pressure the shit out of Yusuf Zalal will see his takedowns coming. Yusuf Zalal will see his strikes coming, and Yusuf Zalal relies a lot on head movement and footwork, and that's a tricky guy to take down, to be honest. Because it's not just that Yusuf Zalal uses a lot of head movement, it's the fact that his footwork is so good and he circles out so well. and it's probably gonna make getting takedowns harder. And it's this fight is actually very close. It's 50-50. Like I said, it's just a matter of who comes in with the better game plan. It's not even like, usually when you pick fights, you're like, okay, this guy's more skilled than this guy, he's beat better people than he's beat, so he should win this fight. But this fight, it's completely up to now. Aljamain Sterling is the safer pick. Like I said, this is Yusuf Zalal's fight to lose. I think we can all agree. We can all agree on that. But I'm gonna pick my boy Yusuf Zalal because I like him, and I have a feeling that after picking so many fighters I'm rooting for, and after the fighters I'm rooting for, after I pick them, they lose, I think we're gonna see a switch up, and I think Yusuf Zalal is gonna get this done by decision. It could even be a split decision, but I'm picking Yusuf Zalal by unanimous decision. And those are our picks for this card, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.